She was just 21 when she became queen, not of a European monarchy or a global superpower, but of a tiny Himalayan kingdom where dragons are sacred and happiness is measured by the state. Jetsun Pema became the face of a new Bhutan, modern, poised, and quietly revolutionary. And yet she wasn't born into royalty. So how did a soft-spoken girl from Thimphu end up as the world's youngest queen? This is Crown Buzz Channel. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications. Let's begin. Born on June 4th, 1990, Jetsun Pema wasn't raised in a palace. She was the second of 5 children in a well-respected family. Her father was a pilot, her mother worked in civil aviation, and both were connected to Bhutanese nobility, but didn't live as royals. Jetsun attended local schools in Thimphu before heading to India and later London for higher studies, where she studied international relations. Those who knew her describe her as warm, intelligent, and deeply empathetic, the kind of person who remembered birthdays and always made time for people others would overlook. A quiet girl, a private girl. But then came Prince Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuck, Bhutan's crown prince and one of Asia's most eligible royals, and everything changed. Here's where it starts to feel like a movie. The year was 2006. A royal event was underway, a quiet gathering in the Bhutanese countryside, away from the gilded halls of Punakha Dzong and the capital's official pageantry. Among the invited families was the Awada family, known for their modest grace and noble lineage, but not royalty. Their 16-year-old daughter, Jetsun Pema, had no crown, no title, just poise, intelligence, and a spark of something magnetic. She wasn't wearing diamonds, she wasn't performing, but when she met Crown Prince Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuck, it was as if the room paused for a moment. He was 26, already a national heartthrob and the future 5th Druk Gyalpo, or Dragon King. Handsome, well-traveled, Oxford-educated, and deeply revered. He could have chosen anyone, but something about Jetsun, her composure, her thoughtful conversation, her complete lack of pretense, stopped him in his tracks. They talked, they laughed, she asked questions, he listened. There was none of the stiffness of royal matchmaking, just a meeting of 2 souls in a rare moment of quiet clarity. Later, the prince confided to close friends that he had found the one. And though she was still so young, he said he would wait, however long it took. For years, the relationship was private, carefully shielded, but behind palace walls, their bond only deepened. And then, in 2011, standing before the National Assembly, King Jigme made the announcement himself. No royal decree, no drama. "I have found such a person," he said, smiling. "She is a warm and kind-hearted person, and she possesses the inner strength of character so crucial in serving this nation." Just like that, Bhutan learned it would soon have a queen, and that her story would be anything but ordinary. The royal wedding took place in October 2011 in the ancient fortress of Punakha Dzong, a setting straight out of a dream. Dressed in traditional kira and embroidered silk, Jetsun Pema walked into history as Queen of Bhutan at just 21 years old. There was no tiara, no paparazzi-fueled hysteria, no screaming crowds. Instead, monks chanted blessings, butter lamps flickered, and a calm dignity wrapped the whole event in something rare, peace. But behind that serenity, a gamble. Would the public accept a queen with no royal title? Would she be overshadowed by tradition, as so many royal women before her had been? The answer came swiftly. Bhutan, a nation that measures gross national happiness, was in love with her. Jetsun Pema didn't try to reinvent the role of queen. She redefined it simply by being herself. She traveled with the king to remote villages, sometimes trekking on foot for hours to meet locals. She visited schools, advocated for mental health, supported disabled children, and spoke gently to families whose names never made headlines. And that authenticity didn't go unnoticed. In a monarchy often shrouded in spiritual reverence, Jetsun brought a human touch. People started calling her the Dragon Queen. Not out of fear, but out of fierce admiration. Still, it wasn't always smooth sailing. At first, Jetsun Pema was an enigma to the global press. Western tabloids called her the Kate Middleton of the Himalayas. But that comparison missed the point. Jetsun wasn't stepping into a role shaped by global celebrity. She was stepping into a tradition older and quieter, one that demanded silence, self-effacement, and service. And yet, she stood out. Not with scandals or spectacle, but with steady grace. Her wardrobe made headlines for blending traditional Bhutanese fabrics with modern flair. Her warmth during royal visits went viral, especially when she comforted children or knelt to speak at eye level. Suddenly, people outside Bhutan were watching and liking what they saw. But here's where it gets complicated. Behind the serene smile and royal grace was a young woman who had to give up almost everything she once imagined for herself. At just 21, Jetsun Pema stepped into a role she didn't grow up preparing for, one that came with centuries of tradition, intense public scrutiny, and the quiet but crushing weight of symbolism. She lost her anonymity overnight, the carefree life of a student, the dream of pursuing art or diplomacy abroad, the chance to grow into adulthood on her own terms, all surrendered in the name of duty. Even her name began to fade into formality. She was no longer just Jetsun, she was Her Majesty the Gyaltsuen, the Dragon Queen of Bhutan. The learning curve was steep. She had to master intricate protocols, learn ancient religious customs, attend state functions with foreign dignitaries, and still remain emotionally grounded in a country that saw its royals as near mythical. Every word she spoke, every garment she wore, every gesture she made, it all meant something. And then, there was the quiet, unspoken pressure to produce an heir. In 2016, she gave birth to Crown Prince Jigme Namgyal Wangchuck. The nation erupted in celebration. In 2020, she welcomed a second son, solidifying her place in Bhutan's royal legacy. But behind the celebrations and photo ops, it's hard not to ask, what did it cost her to bear the nation's hopes so gracefully? She gave up her world to hold up an entire kingdom. And here's what makes her story so powerful. Jetsun Pema didn't just marry into royalty, she helped redefine it. Alongside King Jigme, she's part of a slow but deliberate modernization of Bhutan's monarchy. They've embraced social media. The royal family has an Instagram account. They've invited transparency, occasionally sharing behind-the-scenes family photos. They've walked the line between mystique and relatability with surgical precision. And Jetsun, she's become the face of that balance. Young girls in Bhutan admire her not just for her beauty, but for her calm strength. Her presence tells them they can be soft and powerful, polite and firm, royal and human. What happens when a 21-year-old becomes queen? In Jetsun Pema's case, she grows into the role with stunning clarity. But let's not pretend it's all fairy tales and blessings. There were quiet sacrifices, long absences from family, unrelenting scrutiny. The weight of spiritual symbolism tied to every move she made. Bhutan may be a peaceful kingdom, but inside the palace, duty is just as heavy as anywhere else. And still, she smiles. Still, she shows up for the people. Still, she reigns, not with an iron fist or a velvet glove, but with a steady hand that has quietly reshaped Bhutan's idea of what a queen can be. Would you trade your 20s for a throne? Could you give up your name, your plans, your freedom to serve something bigger? Or would you run before the crown ever touched your head? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss the royal stories that history books forget to tell. Until next time, stay curious.